There's not a bigger crossover as you might think, though, is there? There doesn't seem to. When
No,
I was a kid watching the Monday Night Wars, I assumed everybody watched WCW and everybody watched the WWF. But there was a far less crossover than I think people really realised at the time.
I would say it was 10. If you took 10 people and at one point, 5 were watching WWF and 3 were watching WCW and 2 kind of went, maybe 2 were watching, and then 3 went back and forth. And then it went to 5 and 5. And then it went to 6 and 4, and WCW, we kicked their ass in 1997. That's when my career blew up in 1997 because I'm the first guy to drop the NWO. Scott Hall taking that diamond cutter for me, and that was payback for me creating this guy. This guy right here is the diamond stud. He's not Razor Ramon. He's the diamond stud before there was a Razor Ramon. Where Scott learned how to become Razor Ramon was in that character, which I changed his complete look from blonde, brownish blonde, puffy, curly hair, and a big walrus mustache to the most handsome guy ever in wrestling. And the character came in my 62 pink Cadillac, which was this car right here with some of the diamond dolls.
It's the WrestleMania pink Cadillac as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But we would travel in that car from town to town because probably 70% of the TV shows or more, it might have been higher, were filmed within 300 miles from Atlanta. And if you were in another part of the country, you flew into Atlanta and then you drove either 100, 200, or 300 miles to the show. So Scott and I spent a lot of time in that Cadillac. And he'd be smoking pot and he'd be doing Scarface. Like, that's where the character comes from. So I did that for him when his wife was pregnant because they weren't going to hire him. And I got him to change his look, shave off the mustache, which he had since he was like 15. And his mustache was like a fuller brush, man. And he didn't he did not want to shave it, but he did. And he drove 7 hours to my house. Not my house. I was staying with a buddy of mine at the time. I just got there like a couple months before, into Atlanta. But yeah, it all started there. And he called me and said, Dally, my wife's pregnant. I remember that character you had? We worked together in Florida Championship Wrestling in the late 80s. And he's like, remember that character you had, the Diamond Stud? I could do that, but they won't take my call. And I'm like, let me work on that. And when he changed his whole look and came in, they still didn't do anything with him, which was really bullshit because they proved he was a main event dude. WWE fucking proved he was a main event guy. And when he came back, when I first told Kevin the idea about me not accepting. Now, if you don't accept to be part of the NWO, back then, what'd they do? They beat the fuck out of you, but not me, because both of those are my boys. Like, we all started together. Kevin was a little ahead of us. Well, Scott was ahead of us somewhere else, but we all got to WCW together around the same time. So my relationship with Kev and Scott was super. And, today is, with me and Kev as strong as ever, and, we talk all the time. And, with Scott too, until he passed.